Okay, so gonna respond to a couple comments. So Ants, the way of no way, says, brilliant David, brilliant as always David, I love these visual exercises. I did something similar in one of Angelo's videos after thinking nothing much was happening. Sat down to eat breakfast and my plate of muesli looked exquisitely detailed and seemingly illuminated from within. My hand and spoon were going from plate to mouth, but there was no one doing it. It had a very similar quality to the first time I had a lucid dream. So yeah, it's when there's more immediacy and experience, and immediacy and experience is the absence of, or lesser and lesser degrees of, the reflecting process of reflecting on experience, of kind of recoiling from experience into the objective mind, into the apparent position of the subject, in order to relate to the experience and make sense of it. The less of that that's going on, the more inherent immediacy, infinite nature and of presence is experienced, let's say, or is the experience. And the Buddhist traditions, I think, talk about the luminosity as a way of describing this. Luminosity and the appearance. You mentioned the higher, almost higher definition in a way. Oh, not higher definition. I would say, from experience, I would say it's lower definition. But in that, the radiance and the luminosity and the vibrancy of what's here is less dampened, less dulled, muted by that tendency to live life from the position of the subject and look at the world as an objective out there. So I totally get what you mean. Back to the comment. Even after having the initial awakening and a 2-month period of a beautiful flow state and various experiences like this, there's still an underlying, lingering doubt that any of this really happened. Did you also experience periods of doubt? I'm going to just say that it never happened. Your doubt is correct, it didn't happen. Of course, because all there is this. So if anything, it's happening now. It's happening immediately. So even in the way the mind words the doubt, there's a strong suggestion of different times, of different qualities of experience at different times, of a linear timeline, a past, and so on. It definitely seems like the mind's version of reality is made of doubt. It seems like a radical statement, but the inherent quality of the mind is doubtful. Everything has that undertone of doubt to it. And in my experience, it's not like that doubt ever resolves itself by its own terms. It's not like the doubt ever is satisfied and goes away, and it's like, okay, now I've confirmed the doubtless, and now I can write off those experiences of doubt. It happens outside that space of the mind. So when that doubt isn't activated, when that process of doubt doesn't begin, or isn't fueled with attention, and belief, then what's here in the absence of that is what it is, which is way beyond doubt. It's doubtless. It has no doubt. Doubt isn't even a thing. But when we go back into the mind to try and relate to an experience or a quality of reality, it's always going to be laden with doubt. Doubt seems to be the very last thing to go. The deepest existential question of life and reality is a doubt. is a form of doubt, is the fundamental basis for all subsequent doubts that manifest from it. And I guess you could say that's the basic structure of self, as this tendency to relate to experience as something separate from it. In that relation, there will always be a struggle. Without that, there's no struggle, there's no doubt. And there's not even the confirmation of the absence of doubt. There's just nothing like that. But yeah, to relate to that post-awakening doubt, yeah. It seems whenever the mind is engaged with belief, with reality, whenever it's paid attention to, or whenever it's half paid attention to, or not paid attention to, so it's kind of hopeless, isn't it? The doubt starts to grow, the questioning starts to grow. It's strange, we in this inquiry, we use that doubt to dismantle that thing itself. Very paradoxical. We question the nature of what we take this to be as real, as what this is, as how we experience reality. And eventually the doubt cancels itself out. It seems to be the in route, or the way to trace back to the essential doubt, the primary or fundamental doubt. And then when we get there, it's almost as if it becomes clear that that's being created, that's actively being created, habitually being created. The doubt isn't inherent in reality, and when that's seen clearly, the doubt doesn't have that power anymore. But I think I've said before, the final barrier to this seems to be a set of assumptions, and these set of assumptions are: this as it is isn't already complete, or there's something else, that subtle something else, that tendency to assume that there's something else, or that this isn't already complete, and in that we resist what is in more and more subtle ways. And I guess you could say those subtle ways are forms of doubt. But essentially it's, if you really pay close attention, it's being created. It's a function of mind. It's almost leaning out of experience. Or sometimes it can feel like, for me it felt like leaning back out of experience and configuring an understanding of what's going on. Some people describe it as a leaning in, or like a narrowing of focus, or contraction is a word that's used frequently. When what's happening there becomes clear or exposed, it becomes familiar and not habitually overlooked as something inherent about reality, then it loses its power. And I would say the key to that is in the immediate experience and the appearance and the senses and the sounds, like I was talking about in the last video. Because in the appearance there's no doubt inherently, there's no doubt in the sound. The doubt comes after the experience has already happened, let's say. The creation of time comes, or is added to that, is augmented on top of that. But in pure immediacy, like you described in the experience there's no doubt in this. If you can enjoy that experience enjoy just the experience, just for the sake of experience itself, become fascinated with that mystery, then doubt in a way becomes irrelevant. It becomes clear that is a limiting factor in the full engagement and immersion into the mystery of this experience, that tendency to figure it out, to try and relate to it from any position whatsoever. Very hard thing to talk about because it's so paradoxical, but thank you for the comment. So Jared says, "Hey David, I realised that the reason why I am hesitant towards my realisation is because it happened to me on accident, and that wasn't good enough for me. This was the most important thing to come into my life, and I had nothing to do with it. Pardon me. Not only that, but everything in my life was an accident, and in that moment I realised that I didn't know what I was really doing, and I was just acting like I did my whole life." Yeah. It's like I never read the user's manual for the mind, and I was just smashing buttons my whole life and accidentally found God. So I want my enlightenment to be my doing and not just a cosmic accident. I'm afraid, unfortunately, that this will never happen, and that enlightenment is always an accident, and that my pursuit is pointless. It's like I want to manually install enlightenment into myself instead of automatically installing of its own accord. I just don't know how to stop myself anymore now, I guess. It's like I feel I don't deserve enlightenment because I can't put it into words. What do you think the next step is for me? I would say there's an impersonal aspect of this recognition that can't be understood by the mind. So the mind tries to impute its own qualities onto this recognition, and it looks for a way to validate itself through experience, and it does that really quickly. It does that in a really sneaky way. It always has its basis in identity and ownership, in time, in separation, in relation. How I relate to this event or this quality, or that I call awakening or enlightenment, how that relates personally to my sense of self. Whereas if you touch into what was realised, what was recognised, which is here already, immediately, and embody, feel the qualities of that, feel the immediate, clear, boundless aliveness of this experience right now, and then see where is the sense of me and mine in that. And look for that. Where is it? As in, what's making it feel necessary to capture or own this mystery, this whatever this is? What does that feel like? Because it is already here. You are enlightenment. You are awakening, awakeness. As in, what you realise is the only thing that can be removed from experience, which is experience itself. And it's always been this way. It's always been what you are, but not what you are in the sense, the usual sense, that the way the mind would claim an identity or a quality of identity or experience. Essentially what you are is enlightenment. And all the answers are here already. It's here already. You could say you're made of it. It doesn't have to be qualified or gained. In fact, it can't be. That's all added to. That's all created on top of as a story. In the sounds right now, and the sound of my voice and the hearing of it, does it seem like there's a me talking to you through this video and the you on the other side hearing it and understanding it? Is this that's happening now separated into separate characters in time, in the sound itself, in the hearing itself? Are those separate events? Is this experience right now incomplete in some way? Am I talking to you, or is this you, reality, the universe talking to yourself? For me, it feels like what was realised, what is clear and experienced now as enlightenment is you. So what was realised is you. That's clear. That's the only way it can be. Everything else is a mental fabrication that is constructed on top of the immediacy of whatever this is. And whatever this is there's nothing separate in it. There's nothing incomplete in it. There's no better something else in the future. As in, this is it. This is the whole thing. This is enlightenment. I would say I believe in you, but I don't need to, because it's clear that you are that you're seeking. You are already complete. You are enlightenment itself. Enlightenment in itself, awakeness, is hearing these words, is the words, is looking maybe at this screen. What's looking through your eyes, let's say, what you are that's looking is enlightenment itself, inherently already. And it's inherently free, uncapturable. You can't figure it out, and it's already perfect. What makes it look like something that can be owned or related to from a separate position of a character? What makes it look like I'm a person here talking to you as a separate thing? That I can maybe give you the answer is an illusion created by the mind, an assumption that we are taking to be reality. That's not the case. This is already complete. You are already complete. And the pure freedom, the pure aliveness, the pure awakeness is you. It's already answered. It's already complete. It's just the stories that are getting in the road that are making it look like something it's not. So you could say, this is just an interpretation, that this is you talking to yourself. This is you hearing yourself. That this experience right now is enlightenment. You come closer and closer to the experience itself immediately and see that it's already liberated, that it's already complete. Become familiar with the pattern that's habituated, that causes us to move back. It might seem triggered by emotions, to move away from this, that itself already is enlightenment. That's not actually happening, it's an illusion, but it seems like we're moving away from this to try and relate to it from a me, to try and figure it out, to try and own it, to capture it, and have it as a possession that we can keep. This doesn't need to be kept, this doesn't need to be figured out, because it's free. It's beyond that, it's here anyway. It doesn't need to be got. It's already figured out, already enlightened. So you're already enlightened. But it's not the you in terms of the person that is or ever does get enlightened. It's enlightenment itself, which essentially is what you are. And although what looks like the person appears in and as that, this enlightenment itself is not personal in that way. And that can become clear when we immerse ourselves in this immediate experience and trust it, and forget that identity, forget that self that needs to grasp, needs to own it, and needs to figure it out. It's not relevant in this. And sometimes it takes repetition and seeing that time and time again, but at some point you realise that's not relevant in this. It makes no difference. Nothing about that matters in terms of this awakening thing. It's already done. It's already done. It's coming back the way to the clarity that is inherent in this, not moving out into a narrative about time. You can see all the answers in your question. Like I always say, you've got the answers are in you. Like I can't give you the answers. I can describe experience, is what I'm always doing, is describing my experience, which isn't my experience, it's just an experience translated into language. You're doing the same thing, but in that I can see that you're answering your own question. If you read your question again, all the answers are in there, so you know, deeply, viscerally, at the core of your being, you know, and I know that as well, because essentially I am you. I know that as well. I would just say move away from the mind's version of that and feel that, what was realised, embody that, what was realised, and trust it all the way. That's all you need to do. Once you've got the taste for what is realised, whatever you want to call it, that you know something was realised, you can't quite define it, you're never going to figure it out, but can you feel that now in your experience? Can you embody that? And can you give yourself to that such that you're immersed in it and you forget the complexifications of positions, trying to figure it out, points of view, ownership. I just don't know how to stop myself anymore. By stopping, you mean stop the process of selfing? I would say you can't actively stop it, but it fades out on its own when we engage with something, experience something more complete, something more satisfying, and that's what's here, the senses. When you can really, I find myself saying this a lot recently, enjoy this for the sake of enjoying it. Enjoy the experience for the sake of the experience itself, not for any purpose of getting something or gaining something. That's when things start to clarify. You can see how that can be a tricky one, because you can't really actively decide to do that. But something in your life that you really click with, that you enjoy. For me it was walking. That you're fully engaged in the senses and you can just forget yourself, and the activity, the seeming activity, the experience, whatever's happening, becomes the entirety of what this is, what you are, and that is forgotten. If we can do that consciously, willingly, and give yourself to it, then all that ends up mattering is just this, the way it is. And in that is enlightenment, as it is here already. But yeah, let me know how you get on. I think that's us for now. Anyway, that'll do us, and I'll talk to you next time.